A statement, and that statement is we are still South Carolina. We're a winning program, and the expectation is a national championship. Mike?
Molly, they've got 2 of the last 4 national titles, and they are trying to get to another Sweet 16. SC and SC from Columbia, South Carolina. This has been a phenomenal day of basketball here in the second round, and it continues. 3 more games still to close out the night. Medina Okat on the interior walks with it, and a traveling violation to begin. Let's look at tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Capital One. And for USC, they were just talking about it in the studio, Stephanie. Jazzy Davidson was so good. Kara Dunn was really good late. And then who else steps up offensively for the Trojans?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Kennedy Smith. I think she's got to be somebody that's an offensive option. We know she can lock it down on the defensive end of the floor. But my question for Southern California is, do they have enough offensive weapons for this high-powered South Carolina team?
A team for South Carolina that scores 87 points per game. Joyce Edwards, 2nd-team All-American. Raven Johnson, a 3rd-team All-American. And here is Edwards, who had it rolled off. Okat cleans it up. Rebounding is going to be a huge story tonight as well.
And it was one of Lindsey Gottlieb's concerns. The last time these 2 teams met, South Carolina had 21 offensive rebounds. You cannot afford to give a team like South Carolina multiple possessions.
Plus 24 for South Carolina. Back in the middle of November, they played at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, a game that was branded as the battle for the real SC. It was a top 10 matchup at the time. South Carolina won it by 17, but it was a 2-point game at halftime. And USC tasked with a huge opponent tonight in a 1-seed South Carolina.
When South Carolina held USC to 1 of 14 from the 3-point line, Dawn Staley said that is something that concerns her. They cannot afford to let Southern California get going from the 3-point line.
Leah Samuels at the control. 2nd straight start for her with London Jones coming off the bench. Kennedy Smith, you mentioned she's got to score it. 11.5 points per game, but missed it in close. As you check out the Gamecock starters, high-powered lineup. Tanaya Latson, last year's leading scorer in the country at Florida State. And then Raven Johnson, her final game here at Colonial Life Arena across 5 seasons. Latson rises. 2 strong from deep. Another offensive rebound, and 4 early for Okat.
2 contested shot attempts, 2 offensive rebounds. Lindsey Gottlieb not going to be happy with her team in that area.
Here's Jazzy Davidson. She was phenomenal in just about every way in her NCAA tournament debut Saturday against Clemson. Dealing with the pressure defense, turned it over.
Hey, how about this crowd really loving the one-on-one pressure defense. Tanaya Latson giving it to him the first couple of possessions. Raven Johnson that possession. Look, when you play for Dawn Staley, defense is not optional.
Really pleased with their defensive efforts Saturday against the 16th seed in Southern. SWAC champions for a 32-win South Carolina team with just the 3 losses this year. Edwards draws the assignment on Kara Dunn to begin. A double came from Davidson, but Edwards kept it alive. Swing it around, Raven Johnson can't hit. Laura Williams the rebound for Southern Cal. Samuels can really push tempo for the women of Troy. Dunn, defended well by Tessa Johnson. Williams got behind Okat, but missed it. The lid's still on the bucket for USC. Latson running. Edwards tried to save it, and coming right into our kitchen at midcourt. It goes back to USC.
Well, where USC is going to find success is in transition. That means you have to get a defensive board. You have to be able to get out. They might not be able to turn South Carolina over at the same rate they're able to turn some other teams over. But if South Carolina forces them to play in the quarter court, USC is going to have a problem.
That's why you feel like you got to get stops. You got to get rebounds so you can score getting out and running.
So you can run. And you see Okat's going to stand right in the middle of the lane. She's going to play center field.
0 of 3 shooting the start for Southern Cal. There's Raven Johnson, who's closing in on 1,000 points for her career, too. Edwards against Dunn, scores it, and a 6-0 start for South Carolina.
And I like right away, you see the mismatch. Kara Dunn is is going to be tasked with handling Joyce Edwards. Joyce Edwards going to the basket.
Samuel's looking for somewhere to go. Kennedy Smith, former 6th overall recruit, left her jumper short, and then Williams commits a foul on Tessa Johnson.
Multiple times down the floor, Joyce Edwards getting those touches on the interior, going to work against Cara Dunn down low. That time the double team doesn't come. She has one-on-one, and she takes advantage.
We were kind of wondering at shoot-around today who would guard Joyce Edwards, and they do start Cara Dunn on her.
Yeah, I think Cara Dunn can guard her from a mobility standpoint, but certainly gives up a little bit from a size standpoint. I think Joyce Edwards understanding right now, I have an opportunity close to the rim to get position, and if a double team comes and she just gets it up off the backboard, there's an offensive rebound opportunity.
There she is going to work in the post again. Backing down Dunn and scoring again. And it's 8-0 Gamecocks.
I think it's a tough matchup. If you're going to play behind in the post, if you're going to allow Joyce Edwards to get those touches and back down, at some point I think USC's probably going to change that.
Illegal screen set by Vivian Iwuchukwu.
And you see this possession again, you get it just time off the block, but what does Joyce Edwards do? She goes to backing her down, backing her down. Again, the double team is not coming, and she can just elevate right over the top.
Yeah, so Cara Dunn started on Edwards, like we said. We asked about Kennedy Smith, and Lindsay Gottlieb said to us, well, we really want ball pressure on Raven Johnson, so they deemed a premier defender and Smith more valuable on Raven Johnson, at least at the outset. Lindsay Gottlieb said they probably would change things around. Tanaya Latson off target, but another Okada offensive rebound. Johnson sticks the J. What a start for South Carolina. Smith, baseline jumper, no. Loose ball, and Raven Johnson in a battle for it, earns possession for South Carolina.
Don Staley said, we want USC taking tough twos, and right away forcing Kennedy Smith to be the primary shot taker. Cara Dunn, 1 shot attempt. Jazzy Davidson, none thus far.
USC 0 of 5 from the floor. 3 turnovers, and then for South Carolina, 3 offensive rebounds. Latson sets up Edwards. Spinning on Dunn. Edwards got her own miss. And we'll go to the line. You said it, post feeds early and often for South Carolina to Joyce Edwards.
Yeah, I think it's tough when you're playing behind in the post with Joyce Edwards. Her athleticism, her leaping ability, her ability to handle the basketball. It's one thing if she's facing up and she's attacking one-on-one. It's another thing if she's getting easy post entry passes or if she's backing you down.
Well, and with the matchup we talked about with Cara Dunn, Dunn's got 2 fouls here and has to sit. And again, that's the second leading scorer at 15.5 per game, coming off 22-11 in the 4th quarter Saturday against Clemson.
And a player that's shooting at 38% from the 3-point line, so somebody who can stretch the floor.
So Joyce Edwards to the line, sophomore from Camden, South Carolina, 20 points per game, 6 rebounds per game. We told you second team All-American. Shanae was talking about it in the studio, her efficiency on Saturday against Southern. And building off what was a really good freshman year into stardom as a sophomore. Miriam Dowda goes over the back and gets saddled with the foul. So Dunn on the bench, mentioned nothing yet for Jazzy Davidson in terms of even shot attempts. What does this possession need to look like for the women of Troy?
Well, I think the ball's got to get side to side, get some ball reversals, get some player movement. Again, you see the matchup. Raven Johnson is going to be tasked with guarding Jazzy Davidson. I like it when they cut her.
She went backdoor on Johnson, who had the hard denial, but Davidson missed it. Edwards grab and go. The kick, McKeer swirls one out, and a good block out from Diana Mendez, who gave it away to McKeer.
Ball pressure, entry passes aren't easy. You can see they're guarding whoever the 5 player is, Miriam Dowda right now, just sitting in the paint, playing center field.
Jones had it ripped away by Latson. Gamecocks on the break. Latson coughed it up to London Jones.
Good transition defense from South Carolina. Not giving up anything easy.
Smith knocks down a long two, and 6 minutes into the game, finally Southern Cal's on the board. South Carolina in pursuit of what would be a 6th straight Final Four. They're a 1 seed for the 6th year in a row. Edwards kept it and backs it out for Tanaya Latson. Latson had it poked away. Good defense by Jazzy Davidson. And a foul goes against South Carolina, who's had a fabulous start to this game, trying to punch a ticket to the Sweet 16 against Oklahoma. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? The second round is presented by Intuit TurboTax. Now this is taxes. Jazzy Davidson at USC here in the second round after drama on Saturday in the first round against Clemson. It was a tie game, end of regulation. This is Mia Moore, the star for Clemson, ruled initially a made three, that she got it off in time, and then also that there was a foul. But after they looked at it on replay, Moore didn't get it off in time, and the foul occurred, not when it's called, the foul occurred after time had expired. Illegal contact at that point, but didn't matter because it occurred after we hit zeros. So that gets wiped away. We go to overtime, and Jazzy Davidson there was awesome.
She was terrific, and it's one of those plays that, you know, you hate to see it in like that, but certainly glad the officials went to the monitor, got the right call, and Jazzy Davidson just took over in overtime. Back-to-back threes. I mean, you see it in the numbers right there. First freshman with 35 and 5 in a debut in the last 25 years. I mean, this is a special young talent. Held to single digits, 8 points the first time these two teams met. One of only 2 single-digit games she's had all season long. But the growth of this young lady in this program and to step up in that moment was huge for USC.
Lindsey Gottlieb said afterward, she's running out of adjectives to describe Jazzy Davidson. London Jones a miss, and South Carolina by 11, and they've got Maddie McDaniel running the point in off the bench. Averages 21 minutes per game and didn't play Saturday due to sickness. So it's good to see the one they call Mouse, Maddie McDaniel, is back and available, playing some minutes off the bench for Dawn Staley. Send it over to Molly.
Yeah, Mike, USC's head coach Lindsey Gottlieb spent a lot of time in that last break going over their defensive spacing and being in the right gaps. And she also stressed no more offensive rebounds for South Carolina. I need to see more toughness on the glass, and she's hoping to get some momentum for their offense on the perimeter, especially drawing up some plays for Jazzy Davidson to try to get her going.
Still just the one shot attempt from Jazzy Davidson, and then it's the 4 offensive rebounds for South Carolina.
I mean, I think it's tough. South Carolina's a long team. They're very athletic. They can go over the top of you. It is the discipline and the toughness to making a commitment to putting contact on someone.
Kennedy Smith knocks down another jump shot. She hasn't shot it great from 3, but she does seem more comfortable in the mid-range.
And Kennedy Smith is the one we talked about. Needs to be an important part on the offensive end for USC. Carradine saddled with those 2 early fouls.
Tessa Johnson pulls and knocks it down. The SEC's best 3-point shooters on the board.
And that was a tough contest. I mean, Tessa Johnson just coming up. We talked on Saturday about her needing to be more aggressive, hunting her shots early. She knocks that one down.
South Carolina runs, and Johnson had it roll off. Edwards, another offensive rebound. That rolled off, and then it got McKeer saves it. 3 looks at it for the Gamecocks, and Joyce Edwards will go to the line. That's got to be exasperating for Lindsey Gottlieb.
It absolutely is, because these USC players just turning around, not making contact. But watch this, Tessa Johnson uses the ball screen. It's a late switch, but it's still a good contest. She just uses the little sidestep I mean, she makes it look so easy. Her shot is pure for sure.
Top 10 in the country in three-point percentage, 44%. And I know she's one of your favorites with her game, her shooting, and also just kind of the energy she brings.
She brings energy. I mean, you see it in practice. You know, she's always got a smile on her face. She's bringing a lot of energy to her teammates. Very positive voice on the floor.
Ken Mulkey famously asked earlier this year, who can guard Tessa? Chloe Kitts was rocking that shirt in pregame warm-ups for South Carolina here tonight. Gamecocks by 16, final 2 minutes in the opening quarter. London Jones being dogged by McDaniel, stayed persistent to the basket.
London Jones gets a shot to fall right there, but just a lot of one-on-one dribbling for USC. Not a lot of ball and player movement.
And then real easy for Joyce Edwards. She's cooking early on with 9. London Jones, the UCLA transfer, known for her work from outside the arc, set up Gerda Rošatytė, the junior off the bench from Lithuania, her first year of college ball with the Trojans.
And that was good work right there. Little drop pass into the pocket. Probably the easiest shot USC's had up to this point.
And then a foul comes away from the ball against Southern Cal. So that's 2 on Gerda Rošatytė, goes to the bench. Hey, coverage of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship continues on CBS, TBS, TNT, and TruTV. For game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. Joyce Edwards to the bench, Jazzy Davidson there as well for USC with a minute plus to go in the first. And now South Carolina's working on its bench right here. Miriam Dowda back into the game as they get the subs squared away. And Dowda to the free throw line. One of the beloved teammates on this team, senior from Bentonville, Arkansas, her second year with the program after transferring in from Arkansas. Really respected figure. Don Staley says just a high character individual. And knocks down both. Medina Okat at 6'6" returns for the Gamecocks. So a little more offensive traction here for Southern Cal, trying to build on this at the end of the first. And Kara Dunn in the game with her 2 fouls. Kennedy Smith draws a foul against Okat.
I love when South Carolina gets to their switching and you see Medina Okat at 6'6" get in the stance and defend a guard one-on-one.
She is nimble. There's so much upside with 11 in the white. Samuels off the bounce. Couldn't get it to go and cleared by Okat. Raven Johnson knifed into the paint. And backs it out for Tessa Johnson. 20 seconds separating game and shot clocks. High ball screen. Raven Johnson. Too strong. Okat cleans it up.
That's what happens when you have to help on ball screen. You get a commitment. It opens up an offensive rebound opportunity.
It's 11 second chance points for South Carolina.
USC in a little bit of drop coverage. Okat comes up. Williams has to commit to the help right here. She's still playing a little bit, but then look, she's ball watching. And I think that's the frustration for Lindsey Gottlieb, is that her team is just turning around and looking for the ball. You're not going to out-jump South Carolina. You have to be committed to putting a body on somebody.
Final 6 seconds in the first quarter. Tessa Johnson off the bounce. Strong take. Okat another offensive rebound, but cannot trigger to close out the first quarter. That is dominant from South Carolina. They had USC its biggest first quarter deficit of the season. 4 months ago, these teams met early in the regular season at Crypto.com Arena. Top 10 showdown. South Carolina second, USC eighth in the country. Kennedy Smith did her part to make it a 2-point game at halftime. But in the second half, especially early in the third with some USC turnovers, South Carolina really went to work and separated. And like we've talked about, Stephanie, rebounding was huge in that one.
It was huge. A 56-32 advantage, including 21 offensive rebounds. I mean, this is a South Carolina team that has positional size. They have length at every position. They do a great job of attacking the offensive glass. Average over 13 a ball game. And if you're USC, you've got to be really committed and disciplined to putting a body on someone and boxing out. And you can live with the shots that South Carolina's getting. But the missed shots, they can't afford to be 80% offensive rebounds.
Jazzy Davidson is scoreless in this game for a Trojans team that only has 2 rebounds in total. We get a held ball that'll bring it back with South Carolina. And Jazzy Davidson trying to find her rhythm early on. You mentioned that meeting back in the middle of November was one of her 2 low-scoring games of the season. Didn't get into double figures, and she's at the top of everyone's scouting report now.
Yeah, she sure is. And I think Lindsey Gottlieb is going to have to really manage what her team is running on the offensive end. And right now, a lot of over-dribbling, a lot of one-on-one. That's something that this South Carolina defense can pressure you into doing. But to get some player movement, to get some screening, to get some ball reversals, and hopefully open up higher percentage looks.
Kennedy Smith really trying to apply some pressure on the ball, too, with Raven Johnson. Caught underneath. And a foul is called against Southern Cal. Get that on Kennedy Smith. That's her first.
Well, good execution right here by South Carolina. They know that this is going to be a switch. And you get an opportunity in that low ball screen in that switch to really clear it out to get Medina Okot a touch.
And how about the impact Medina has had so far? Senior at 6'6". Out of Kenya, the Mississippi State transfer was second-team SEC. Top rebounder in the conference, 13 and 11 per game, and she's got 8 already.
Yeah, talk about a player who's continued to improve throughout the course of the season. Dawn Staley said, she just really, when she got here, didn't understand what it meant like to be coached like this and held to this standard. Last 10 games, she's had 8 double-doubles, averaged 14 points and almost 13 rebounds.
8 points to go along with her 8 boards. And South Carolina also has made a living at the free throw line. Laura Williams on a nice feed from Kennedy Smith.
Yeah, Kennedy Smith right now has been a primary playmaker. She's scored on her own. That time she created an opportunity for Williams.
Smith known for her work defensively. She was on the Big Ten all-defense team. Agat McKeer backed it out for Okot. Raven Johnson. McKeer gets bumped by Jazzy Davidson, and that's 2 on the superstar freshman, just like Kara Dunn in this first half for the Trojans. Trojans are just going to have to play through it. As Davidson stays in, South Carolina subs. Joyce Edwards back into the game, and the 6'7" French freshman Alicia Cornebis into the game, bottom right of your screen.
And going right back to Joyce Edwards in the post-up. You see that time Laura Williams in a shallow gap, trying to take away a driving lane.
Johnson hits from the corner. Two points away from 1,000 for her career. Jazzy Davidson, tough shot, no. And it'll stay at this end of the floor.
Raven Johnson, 5th year here in this South Carolina uniform, playing in this gym for what is going to be the last time. I love the way that Raven Johnson has started to really take those open threes. I mean, this is a player that was challenged 2 years ago in the Final Four. They came back and won a national championship, and a year ago, Dawn Staley challenged her again. Thought that she celebrated that national championship a little bit too long. has been the heart and soul. 141 wins at South Carolina for Raven Johnson. That's second in program history.
It's incredible. Kennedy Smith gets one to go out of the corner. And Raven Johnson, from 2017, her high school career to now, Don Staley will tell you, Raven Johnson has lost 14 basketball games in that time.
She's a winner.
Edwards took it back from an unsuspecting Cara Dunn. Edwards, kick out, Tessa Johnson. No. And the rebound secured by Laura Williams. Kennedy Smith, nice scoop to the basket, and she's been excellent offensively.
She has really taken ownership and put it on her shoulders right now. Playing with the ball in her hands, attacking the rim.
See the 9 points for Kennedy Smith, more than half the USC production. Edwards spinning again, not done with 2 more. And Joyce Edwards is up to 11, and Southern Cal needs a timeout. Second round action on day 4 of the NCAA tournament, and Kennedy Smith right now on the bench for Southern Cal. And you spotted this at the end of her running scoop shot with the photographers.
Yeah, I saw her running down the floor a little gimpy, and we could see it in her face. They called the trainer over. It's like she stepped on the photographers. Not sure what it is that she heard, but you could see her gimpy, and trainers were called over, and now coming out of that huddle on the bench.
Lindsey Gottlieb will tell you she thinks Kennedy Smith can be as good as any defensive player in the country. And so far in this first half, she's been the best offensive player for the women of Troy as well. Turnover for Southern Cal. That's 8 of them already. South Carolina's got an 18-4 rebounding edge. And a turnover here on Tessa Johnson gives it back to the Trojans. Samuels, Dunn, Davidson, Jones, and Iwuchukwu, the 5 on the floor for Lindsey Gottlieb. 1 seeds each of the last 2 years. Of course, the back-to-back Elite Eights. No Juju Watkins all year, of course. Davidson finally on the board on her 5th field goal try. Knocks down a 3.
Finally on the board with a tough step-back 3. Not an easy shot.
Coming off those 31 Saturday. Crowd wanted Tornabees to fire. Dunn was calling for help, and it'll stay at this end of the floor with South Carolina.
I like the space that USC gets with this high ball screen, really high above the 3-point line. So now Jazzy Davidson has the option, either attack the big, or that time found space in the step back.
Jazzy told us earlier today, compared to the first game against South Carolina, she's learned to play at a much better pace, not get sped up. And she said she's so much better at reading defenses, especially the second line defense, she said. Let's check in with Molly.
Well, Mike, in the last time out, USC's head coach Lindsey Gottlieb was challenging her team to play with more physicality under the basket to get some of those rebounds. She said you need to bully them, be more aggressive. And when we spoke with Jazzy Davidson, she admitted, yeah, they have a height advantage, but toughness needs to balance that out. Staying tough and aggressive, we cannot give up, guys.
She said there's got to be grit against this big South Carolina team. Okot walks with it, and it goes back to Southern Cal.
And there also has to be discipline. You know, I think there's physicality, there's toughness certainly, but there also has to be discipline to making contact on a box out. It's so easy, and you see it so often where players just turn and try to go get the ball. Every step you take in the NCAA tournament, every top team that you play requires more discipline, more consistency, more energy, more effort, more attention to detail.
Pick and pop, Cara Dunn off the mark, and then Samuels couldn't clutch a would-be offensive rebound. Yeah, Lindsey Gottlieb said to us, our guards really have to help out with rebounding. And then she said, our bigs just have to compete underneath. Five to go until halftime, and South Carolina up by 15 on Southern Cal. Again, they sag off Okot. She's been shooting it all right from three recently. And this one goes back to the Trojans. So USC has settled in a bit offensively, but South Carolina still up by double figures here in Columbia. The NCAA Women's Championship, presented by Capital One, is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Fan work is thirsty work.
I like the Iverson looks that they get her, because you can give her the ball off the move. She can rip and go. She can wait for the ball screen. They have one where they hit the elbow and she can cut back door. I like it when she becomes a cutter first and then gets the ball. And Andrea's right. It's hard, you know, that she's got Raven Johnson on hers, right? So you know that she's a great defender one-on-one. This is not a USC offense that has a lot of fluidity. They play without a true point guard. The ball was in Jazzy Davidson's hands to let her, quote-unquote, go to work. And so you got to find easier ways. And I do like some of the Iverson stuff that they have in their package for her. I'd like to see him get to some of it.
The Iverson, for those uninitiated, is what type of cut offensively?
Well, she's going to cut across two post players that are at the elbows from one side of the floor to the other. And if you get chased, you can attack off the bounce. This is the play that they ran, that Cara Dunn got the three and that she got the attack, because you have somebody coming behind. And you know that these South Carolina posts are not going to guard the Southern Cal posts. They're going to be packed in the paint. So it gives you an opportunity to attack. It gives you an opportunity to find another teammate. You automatically force rotation.
So watch Jazzy Davidson, 9 off the wing, and they don't even get her a touch. Trying to set things up as Raven Johnson picked it. The SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
And look, the South Carolina attention to detail defensively is there. They are on point. They are pressuring the basketball. They are taking away passing lanes.
Joyce Edwards still working on Cara Dunn and draws a third foul on USC's Cara Dunn, their number 2 scorer.
Yeah, that's the other adjustment I'd like to see made is changing that matchup. And you know, Cara Dunn now has been taken out of an offensive flow because she's saddled with these early foul trouble. Now this third, they've been continuing. South Carolina has continued to get Joyce Edwards touches against that matchup. Bring some more size, bring some more length.
Well, I should say that they gave it to Kennedy Smith.
Oh.
So this helps out USC. It looked like it might be the third on Cara Dunn. Yeah, they're going to get Smith reaching in with her right arm.
Oh, well, that's a benefit, certainly.
Now, Smith does have 2. So you got Davidson, Smith, and Dunn, all with 2, USC's 3 best players. Edwards made both. She's got 13 points in this first half. Kennedy Smith on the drive. Tough shot. No. Cleaned up by Roshatite. And Davidson connects from D.
Well, an offensive rebound. What happens on an offensive rebound? Defense is scrambling.
Latson leaked out ahead of the pack and gets 2. Davidson feeling it. Too strong. Raven Johnson the run out for South Carolina. Latson in transition, lays it in. Back-to-back buckets for Tania Latson, her first points tonight. London Jones takes Latson off the bounce, lost the handle. Edwards. Foul called by Davidson, and that's 3 on Jazzy Davidson.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That foul could have come right there when Jazzy Davidson went into the pathway. And it's just a slight drop of the arms. I mean, she's got the length. You know, she's an outstanding shot blocker at the guard position. Just the verticality, staying vertical, staying disciplined to that. But that's a tough one when you're coming back in transition, trying to defend one-on-one. You know, the best transition defense is good offensive execution, and USC has not been able to have much of that in this first half.
And Joyce Edwards, the split at the line. South Carolina's made a living at the free throw strike, 14 of 16. McKeer, the pickpocket on Samuels. Latson hauls it in and drops it in.
There's so much over dribbling. You know, there's a difference in dribbling with purpose, dribbling to draw, dribbling to attack the rim, and, you know, again, the length. I got McKeer, her long arms, able to get in there, get a hand on that, and South Carolina able to get out in transition. The South Carolina team that averages almost 20 points a game in transition. I asked Dawn Staley about that, and she said, you know, we've always wanted to play fast. We just haven't had the horses to do it, and now she's got great guards who want to play fast, who are scorers in transition in the open court. And she said Tania Latson is one of those. She has allowed us the ability to play faster.
Smith spins one out. Yeah, Tania Latson's got an easy 6 in the last, like, 90 seconds, all in transition. Raven Johnson couldn't finish. Another Southern Cal turnover to Raven Johnson. What a way for Raven Johnson to hit 1,000 points for her career.
Just times it perfectly. I mean, this is what she does. The SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Gets in the passing lane, gets an easy 2 in transition. 141 wins at South Carolina for Raven Johnson. I mean, this is a player whose imprint on this program and the legacy that she leaves is so important. Dawn Staley, she's won a couple of championships. She understands what it takes, and her growth under one of the greatest point guards to ever play this game. I mean, you can see it every year, just continues to get better.
You said it earlier, how both Dawn Staley and Raven Johnson knew that Johnson's season last year wasn't up to par, in part because the work she put in the year prior wasn't up to par. And Raven Johnson said to us today, she knew she really needed to work last summer. So for 2 months, she went up to Minnesota through connections with Anthony Edwards. She worked with the Timberwolves staff and their trainers, and she told us it was 3 training sessions a day. It started with weightlifting at 7 a.m. She told us it felt like 3 days in one, and she said, I needed it. But because of that, she has come into this year and had so much confidence, especially shooting the ball.
It takes, you can't cheat the game, right? You can't cheat the game. And it takes what it takes. It's nice to have those Atlanta connections with Ann Edwards.
McKeer on another run out, takes it herself.
And I like that timeout. Lindsey Gottlieb wanted to run something specific, try to get a high percentage look, and Dawn Staley changes up her defense to the 1-3-1. The play likely was drawn up to go against a man-to-man defense. South Carolina comes out showing the 1-3-1. They get another easy one in transition.
Inside of 90 seconds to go until halftime. And a foul away from the ball goes against Southern Cal. It's on Diana Mendez. South Carolina's had runs in this game of 13 zip. That was to start the game, and then right now an 11-0 run for the Gamecocks. 2 NCAA tournament games so far. They've looked dominant in 3 halves. Tessa Johnson again. You've been watching here on ESPN these last 3 hours. UConn and now South Carolina look pretty good. Okot follows it up, and it got McKeer slow to get up for South Carolina. Just now back into the play, coming back down the court. Done no. Okot already her 11th rebound. About 6.5 seconds separating game and shot clocks. Edwards has been excellent offensively this half. Held ball will give it back to the Trojans. From the lip reading department, Dawn Staley says she grabbed her. Not going to win that one.
Well, as tightly as it's been called much of the first half, I'm surprised there wasn't one called there.
Final shot of the half belongs to USC or not. Smith got stripped. McKeer, Edwards, no. And that does it on a utterly dominant first half from 1 seed South Carolina in their final game in Columbia this season. Great start, great finish to this half with a trip to the Sweet 16 on the line. Dawn Staley with Molly. Back in the capital of South Carolina, Columbia, where the 1 seed Gamecocks have a 30-point lead on 9 seed USC out of halftime for a trip to the Sweet 16. Stephanie White, Mike Monaco back with you. Molly McGrath with us as well. And that was about as flawless a half as South Carolina could play.
Well, they were absolutely stellar on both ends of the floor. I thought they set the tone with their defense. It allowed them to get out in transition. It allowed them to play fast. They forced 14 turnovers. 18 points off of those turnovers, and Dawn Staley said it in her interview going to halftime. We want to play fast. We were able to play fast because of our defense. They were in passing lanes. They were using their length. They were getting deflections that led to steals. They were forcing USC to play one-on-one basketball. I mean, they were just terrific on the defensive end of the floor. And look, this is a South Carolina team coming into the NCAA tournament off of a loss. Had an opportunity for a couple of weeks to just practice, to get better, to get back to the basics. And you see Medina Okot already a double-double, her 9th in 11 games. But playing with purpose.
11 steals, and yeah, you see that note at the bottom there. It's the 3rd time this year that Medina Okot has had a first half double-double. Everyone else in the SEC has only done that 4 times all year, and she's done it 3 times. Talked about the importance of rebounding, and South Carolina dominated in that regard. So they lead by 30, and they are 20 minutes away from a trip to Sacramento, the Sweet 16, and a date with Oklahoma and a rematch. And we'll see what the second half has in store. Let's check in with Molly.
Well, at the half, USC head coach Lindsey Gottlieb challenged her team's pride, saying, we can lose, but not like this. We can't be punks and give up and continue making these mistakes and turning over the ball. They're really good, but we have to toughen up. And she stressed that she's not going to worry about Jazzy Davidson's 3 personal fouls, said we need to find ways to get her more touches regardless, guys.
Yeah, that was a problem. Jazzy Davidson's foul trouble. She had the 2 threes. That was it for scoring. And then second leading scorer, Kara Dunn, didn't score at all in the first half for the Trojans. Samuels had it poked away by Latson. Post entry, Joyce Edwards with Davidson out of this time. Same result for Joyce Edwards.
And look, Joyce Edwards just holds her hands up like, I don't know if she wanted the foul, or I don't know if she was saying this was too easy.
And Kara Dunn gets on the board for USC. And maybe a little bit of both for Joyce Edwards, who is that good, just like she was in the first round Saturday.
Well, Joyce Edwards frustrated with herself for missing that layup before heading into halftime. I mean, you talk about a young lady who is taking her game to another level. I mean, her numbers show it. Averaging almost 20 points a ball game, up from just under 13 a year ago.
Laura Williams couldn't haul in the bounce feed from Malia Samuels, and frustration percolating some more for USC. Raven Johnson, a little two-player game with Joyce Edwards, and a foul goes against the Trojans.
Yeah, Joyce Edwards again. It's just the catches are easy. Not enough ball pressure, too easy, no resistance on the interior. And Joyce Edwards is like, yes, M1, AM1.
3 fouls, by the way, on Kennedy Smith. Can you front? Like, I guess you think of it more with a 5 than a 4. Can you front her?
I mean, you got to try to keep her from getting the basketball. You can front her, and you got to come with heavy help from the backside. You got to deny a high post entry so that you can't just go right into a high-low. But there's a combination of different things that have to happen. Got to be better ball pressure on the passer to not allow it to be so easy. I mean, South Carolina's ball pressure is forcing USC to put the ball on the floor, to dribble. It's not allowing them to just see passing lanes. And that's the kind of ball pressure you got to come with.
Andrea and Chene and Christine, they were breaking it down in the studio. And then you got Raven Johnson, just the head of the snake defensively and imposing her will and her energy.
Just hounding. I mean, it's relentless, and, and it's multiple levels of effort.
Shot clock at 6 for Kennedy Smith. Looking for somewhere to go. Just disjointed offensive possessions for USC. Lindsay Gottlieb goes to the bench for Vivian Iwuchukwu. And you just heard Molly say it. Lindsay Gottlieb saying it's about pride for them right now as well.
Yeah, and competitive spirit. And right now, and part of this is due to South Carolina's defense, but USC looks like a team of 5 individuals on the offensive end, everybody trying to do it on their own. When a team is at their best, the ball is moving. Yes, you got to find ways to get higher percentage shots for Jazzy Davidson, run actions, but you also have to be willing passers and willing to move the ball from side to side.
And then at the other end, there's just been no way to keep Medina Okot off the boards.
I mean, she's a matchup nightmare. She's got the size, she's got the physicality, she's got really good instincts. There are some people who just have a nose for the ball. She has that. Her timing is impeccable. Her hands are terrific.
That one forced a 4th foul on Kennedy Smith. So not even 3 minutes into the second half, and Kennedy Smith goes to the bench with 4, and South Carolina cooks up the baseline out of bounds for Joyce Edwards. Done. Tough shot, no. 14 Medina Okot rebounds after she had 15 in the first meeting. Rhythm 3. Gets the roll. Everything coming up Gamecocks tonight. Samuels dropped it off for Iwuchukwu, who then couldn't connect with Mendez. Latson leads. And might have been trying to skip that. Instead, Davidson the takeaway. Davidson attacks and finishes. Strong drive. First 2-point bucket for Jazzy Davidson, who's got 8 now, after the 31 in her NCAA tournament debut Saturday. It was, and it goes back to USC.
Medina Okot right here. The ball goes inside, and you see the sinking defense of USC. And Medina Okot, those are the ones that Dawn Staley wants. They go inside, they come back outside. Look, she's got great lift, soft touch. She gets that bounce.
Boy, it is easy to dream on her.
It is, right?
Okot has started to shoot more from 3. And Dawn Staley just made kind of a passing comment to us today. She said, I'd even like her to shoot a few more 3s. Now, the reasonable ones.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't want the ones where, you know, she's getting it on a reversal and the crowd is saying shoot it because you're wide open. Like, she wants those types of three. It's been inside. It's been outside. The defense has been broken down. It's a spray. There are rhythm threes and there are overthinking threes.
Davidson. Wow.
Nice.
Jazzy Davidson cans another three. Says, let's go to her bench.
Gets a clean look off of the ball screen.
Davidson was calling for help. He was Chukwu trying to do so, and Edwards just going to work.
The cat and mouse was there with Iwachukwu. She was doing a good job. Your help is to the middle of the floor right there. And Joyce Edwards reads it. She does a good job of baiting Jazzy Davidson to that high shoulder, coming back to the baseline. I mean, this is just a heck of a one-on-one move by Joyce Edwards.
Set up on the block early and often and has just continued to produce. Another 20-point game. Check this out. Joyce Edwards' 21st 20-point game this year. That ties A'ja Wilson for the most 20-plus point games in a season during Dawn Staley's 18 years here.
Pretty incredible. So many comparisons. Joyce Edwards to A'ja Wilson.
And Edwards still just a sophomore.
And grew up with a ball kid here and idolized A'ja Wilson. And now you get an opportunity to live out your dream close to home. I mean, a lot of parallels between those two.
London Jones with the air ball sends us to a timeout. More of the same in the second half for South Carolina here at home.
Welcome to the second round.
Battle, 15-foot baseline shot. For the Sweet 16. Madison Booker with 40 points, a performance for the ages.
Oh, Michigan, an exclamation point.
Awesome games in the second round, and now for tonight's slam dunk matchups brought to you by Wendy's. How good is this going to be? Kamora Johnson and her Virginia team, they pulled a massive upset today. Double overtime against 2-seed Iowa at the home of the Hawkeyes, and then Olivia Miles, almost another triple-double.
Olivia Miles has been terrific. Yeah, almost another triple-double, you're right. And Kamora Johnson, again, another local product that stayed home, wanted to elevate the program at UVA to where it once was, and now an opportunity to play in the Sweet 16. It's really cool when you get to see players who could go elsewhere, who choose to stay home, who choose to rebuild a program, find success. And UVA, Dawn Staley's alma mater, where she was an All-American. And it's really incredible. Coach Mox and her staff have done an outstanding job.
It was such a resilient effort. Yeah, and you saw how the bracket shakes out. So it is TCU and Virginia. That's in the bottom left of the bracket. That's Regional 4 Sacramento. So as far as South Carolina is concerned, the 2-seed in their regional is out in Iowa.
And what an effort. Again, UVA, 3 wins. The first team to play in the first four to advance to a Sweet 16. And they had some battles, overtime ball games. Hawkeyes had a tough shooting tournament.
Yeah, not bad as far as throw factor goes for Virginia. First round overtime against Georgia, and then you go double OT against Iowa. Edwards again with a chance at 3.
So you've gotten the 2-er on the post-up. Now you put her in the 2-man. Tessa Johnson does a good job of drawing the secondary defender. A late rotation. Joyce Edwards continues to just go to work. She makes it look easy, doesn't she?
Sure does. Former number 3 recruit in the country. At one point was the Gatorade National Player of the Year. Last year came off the bench, of course, as a freshman, but still averaged 13 points per game. And now 20 a game in year 2. Roshatite, the offensive rebound for Southern Cal.
And now look at the different look that Jazzy Davidson's got McKeer with her length.
Latson running. And here is the length of McKeer. And the freshman's played well this weekend.
We got McKeer the last 2 ball games heading into tonight, averaging 12.5 points, shooting at 63% from the floor. Dawn Staley says she's the best guard that we have, most talented. Her playmaking, her length, talented enough to get on the court. And once she understands the consistency that you have to have every day in practice, the sky's the limit.
16 points Saturday. You see the 8 tonight. First half tonight, just in the first half, had 4 steals. Her length is a problem. Number 6 recruit in the country from Ontario. 3 to go, third quarter from Colonial Life Arena. Latson elbow. Eight points for Tanaya Latson. Davidson got it down low, and Milton missed it at the rim.
That was a great look by Jazzy Davidson.
Tornabese lays it in. Everyone's getting involved for the Gamecocks. London Jones, no. McKeer saw it. Johnson on the receiving end. Timeout, Southern Cal. Absolute dominance from the Gamecocks at home. Regional 4 and Regional 2 will descend on Sacramento next weekend. That includes South Carolina, should they hang on and advance. And it also includes who's up next. UCLA will be in action against Oklahoma State. Top of the hour, about a half hour away, right here on ESPN. UCLA team that is just rolling along, keeps piling up wins. 26 in a row. Lauren Betts had 22 and 10 in their opener.
We'll talk about a program that is experienced, that have experienced playing together, that have been there to the Final Four, that are looking to bring home a national championship to Los Angeles, another storied program. Corey Close has done such an outstanding job at UCLA.
Really has. Davidson misses out of the timeout. By the way, how good is Duke LSU going to be?
Oh, another rematch.
Oh.
You know, Duke has the round of rematches in the NCAA tournament. Baylor had gotten them first game of the year in Paris, and they were able to take care of Baylor, and now an opportunity to get LSU as well.
Yeah, remember, it was that 3-6 start for Duke, Tara Lawson's team, and then
through the gauntlet.
They turned it around. Yeah, it was such a hard schedule in those first 9 games. And
working some of those players that were back from injury as well, trying to get them their rhythm and timing. Riley Nelson, Ariana Robertson.
It's going to be a great Sweet 16. McKeer missed it, and a held ball will bring it back the other way, and then players pulled apart on the baseline. Well, how do you size up South Carolina big picture? I mean, we know how good all the 1 seeds are. We just watched UConn before our game. Gino Auriemma was saying that their first half was about as good a half as he can remember from any of his teams in recent years. UCLA we just touched on, and then Texas took 2 out of 3 from South Carolina so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think South Carolina has all the pieces. They have the mentality. They understand what it takes. I think to Dawn Staley's point about working on offensive execution as it got McKeer, fouls Jazzy Davidson. You know, when you get into a game like you do against the Texas in their matchups, now all of those tight ball games until the SEC championship, they are going to lock you down. You are going to be forced to play in the quarter court, to really work your offense, to get the best shot, to find the right play. And so you got to continue to work on that. Like right now, it looks easy for them. They're able to do what they do best. But when you're not able to, what do you go to? Who do you go to? And do you feel confident and comfortable being able to execute in those situations? I think that's just a growth area. Like, this is an entirely new core group on the floor. Yes, Joyce Edwards came off the bench and played last year. Raven Johnson, the only returning starter. Everybody in a new role, finding the comfort zone. Young players that are making impact like that one right there.
Agat McKeer with a chance at a three-point play, fouled by Davidson.
I mean, so you're putting Agat McKeer in a situation that she could be in, right? She's not a point guard. Dawn Staley challenging her to be a primary ball handler right now, really working on things with her team, and that's just a great job of a straight line drive.
Dawn Staley kept using the word patient with us offensively. I know we've touched on it a little bit tonight, but what does that look like against the elite competition?
I mean, it looks like you've got to be patient enough to get to second, third, sometimes fourth action. Get second, third, sometimes fourth side. You know, there are going to be teams that you play, and there are going to be matchups that you have where, yes, you can create your own shot one-on-one, but not against great teams.
Nice strip for the three from Malia Samuels. A little juice for Southern Cal, closing out the third quarter. 4 subs in the game here for South Carolina, along with Tanaya Latson. Pujols couldn't hit, and a foul on the loose ball rebounding action goes against South Carolina, rather. So final 25 seconds in the third belong to Southern Cal. Kennedy Smith had it ripped away by Tanaya Latson. Another strip and score for Latson. London Jones, no. And we will head to the fourth quarter in Columbia, South Carolina, with the Gamecocks up by 40. Their effort has been excellent, and they are 10 minutes away from another trip to a Sweet 16. Take a look at tonight's Capital One rewarding performance. 23 points, 8 rebounds for Joyce Edwards.
Yeah, she's been terrific. Started first play of the ball game. They got her touches going down low against a mismatch with Kara Dunn, and she's just continued to find ways to go to work. She does such a great job of being patient and reading. Is a double team coming? Is it not? And then you're able to get her off the move. I mean, she's been special all season long, but she's taken it to another level in the NCAA tournament.
50 combined points these 2 games as we start the fourth, and she was trying to have some fun too.
A little bit, not enough to let coach see her.
Okay.
So you just called her out.
To dancing to teach me how to duck.
Yeah, she was just shaking a little bit.
Coach Staley, if you're watching this game back on film in the future, don't listen to what we just said. Joyce Edwards with the offensive long rebound, and Tanaya Latson tied up on the block. And that'll be a held ball that gives it back to Southern Cal. So South Carolina 10 minutes away from getting a 33rd win this season and from moving on in Regional 4 to Sacramento in the Sweet 16 against the 4-seed Oklahoma, who got past Michigan State yesterday and who had an overtime win against South Carolina earlier this year. South Carolina's been dominant.
That game was incredible. That was a high-scoring affair. Aaliyah Chavez was special in the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah, it was late January. And South Carolina, a month and a half later, looking like they'll have another crack at the Sooners. Trying to finish this one out strong. Raven Johnson in her final game here in Columbia missed it. And Isla McDowell couldn't save it on the baseline. What are the emotions like when you know it's your last game in your college building?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you've won as much as you have with Raven Johnson here and you know that you have an opportunity to play another one at home, it really, even though she's probably thought about it, it won't sink in until the final buzzer. She's going to stay locked in. Dawn Staley's going to make sure she stays locked in.
Done the misfire. Jones retrieved it. Can't hit it. Foul comes away from the ball on London Jones, jockeying on the block with Raven Johnson. Flip side for USC, they had the dramatic win in overtime 2 days ago against Clemson. And now here in the second round, facing a 1-seed powerhouse in South Carolina. It's been an up and down season for Southern Cal. Of course, without Juju Watkins all season with the torn ACL, suffered last year in the NCAA tournament in the second round. It is fun to dream about what the Trojans are going to be like next year.
Think about Juju returning, an outstanding recruiting class that Lindsey Gottlieb and her staff signed. You know, the future's certainly bright, and you know, sometimes you got to go through the hardships so you can grow through the hardships, and you know, really understanding what it takes. And you can see this recruiting class ranked #1 by ESPN. A lot of talent. Lindsey Gottlieb told us the other day she wouldn't change it. You know, it's made her a better coach. She thinks it's made her team a better team. There have been a lot of ups and downs, but certainly a bright future ahead.
We watched Juju Watkins shoot a bunch of threes on the court today. I think she's going to shoot it really well next year.
I mean, look, she's generational. Juju Watkins and what she has done in her early in her young career as Medina Cott continues to go to work is really special. And I think when you get an opportunity, even though nobody wants to be sidelined, when you get an opportunity to see the game in a different way, when you get an opportunity to now be a leader for this team from the sideline. Jazzy Davidson talked to us about how important Juju Watkins' leadership and confidence and helping her navigate the ups and downs has been. And I think she's going to come back hungrier than ever.
Lindsey Gottlieb shared this weekend that there was a moment over the summer back in the training room where Lindsey Gottlieb kind of allowed herself to just reflect, and she said something to the effect to Juju Watkins of, man, what could have been this season. And Juju Watkins looked at her coach straight in the eye and said, Coach, it wasn't our time.
Yeah.
When it's our time, it'll be our time, and it will be next year. Latson against Davidson. Good block by Jazzy Davidson, standing tall. And then Latson the pickpocket, right back. "12 points, 4 steals for Taniyah Latson."
Well, Taniyah Latson, just a good job of timing that bounce. She was really special in game 1 and setting the tone defensively against Southern. You know, she had 4 steals early in that ball game and really set the tone with her pressure D. And that's another area of growth.
And Raven Johnson checks out here at Columbia, likely for the final time. "5 years with this program." Dawn Staley has said of all the players she has coached, she will miss Raven Johnson the most.
She's going to be getting a lot of text messages from her former players right now.
Coach, what about me?
What about me? What about me? Well, Raven Johnson's been special. We said it. You know, all she's done is win. Her game has continued to improve. She's been a great floor manager and leader for this team and this program.
See, on the left side of her neck, she's got a tattoo there. It says patience. She told us today she got it this past summer, and she thinks it typifies her career. She told us, I've been through so many low points in my career. You know, getting waved at by Iowa on that big stage. She said that for her was the lowest point, and she feels like she has come out the other side of it and is playing the best basketball of her life. And Medina Okat checks out as well.
And look, sometimes it takes that. You know, I think every human being, but certainly every athlete, you know, has had those moments where you just get knocked on your butt, right? Like you get humbled. The game will humble you, and we've all been through that in some way, shape, or form. And she used that as motivation, and then found success in winning a championship, and then again, you know, coming back. And Dawn Staley said maybe celebrated a little too long, right? Coming back and not having the year that she wanted a year ago, and just I think understanding and growing and learning the consistency that it takes to be great. There aren't moments off, there aren't days off, and she's become a leader for this team and program.
And Raven Johnson appreciates the work done by the mop gang at midcourt. Agat McGeer sat down, maybe to tie a shoe, and then they needed the mop crew out. So the crowd very much enjoyed that here in Columbia. 6+ minutes to go in the fourth. A convincing South Carolina effort on a day that has been stocked with good second-round games in the NCAA tournament. Another three for Jazzy Davidson, who has shot it really well over these last 3 days.
And I love how she's continuing to compete. She's continuing to compete. She's continuing to be a good teammate. And look, Jazzy Davidson is already special, but she's going to be really special. When you put her on the floor with Juju Watkins, somebody who can take a little bit of pressure off of her to be the one on the offensive end of the floor, she's going to continue to take huge strides forward.
If you were writing up an off-season training plan of player development for Jazzy Davidson, what would it look like this season?
I think first and foremost, she's got to get stronger. You know, she's got to get stronger. She's had to play with the ball in her hands a lot this season. So working a little bit off the ball, because Juju's going to have the ball in the hands as well, and utilizing them both. You know, I think she's outstanding at slashing to the rim. Teams are going to continue to push her right. She's going to work on that right hand, continue to work on that three-point consistency. We've seen her flourish here in the NCAA tournament from the three-point line. And then I think she's got size and length that if she gets guarded by smaller players, she can take them down low, work a little bit of post action. Like, she's going to be a tough matchup right now. And I absolutely love that she is already an elite two-way player. Because a lot of young players don't come into this ball game really hungry on the defensive end.
She's made an imprint on both ends of the floor for Lindsey Gottlieb. We saw it, especially in the first-round win against Clemson. Mendez got fouled by Alicia Tornabese. Yeah, how's it all going to blend together next year? Juju Watkins, Jazzy Davidson, and those freshmen that are coming in to USC. #1 recruit in the country, Sanaya Hall. So you're going to have 3 of the last 4 #1 recruits in the country. Mendez to the line. Hey, for the 6th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more info, go to ncaa.com. Reminder, don't go anywhere. We are approaching the final game of the opening weekend. 8 seed Oklahoma State at 1 seed UCLA still to come to close down a basketball-packed 4 days in the tourney. Miriam Dowda couldn't knock down the 3. London Jones pulls. And a foul on the rebounding action. Goes against South Carolina. USC facing the end of the road here against the 3-time champs. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Christine, thank you. That promises to be a good one. A red-hot UCLA team with so much star power that has been so dominant. USC knows all season.
Yeah, they really have. And UCLA, a team that tasted the Final Four, and a veteran team, an experienced team, and a team that has stayed together. You know, retaining players is tough nowadays in NIL, and they've retained the core and are hungry for a championship.
One loss all season. That was to Texas back in November. Meantime, here in Columbia, South Carolina, 4.5 to go for Jazzy Davidson and the Trojans in their season. Kara Dunn, a miss at the line. South Carolina running the floor. Miriam Dowda, the catch, and a chance at 3.
Scott McKeer has done a really good job of throwing those pass aheads, and Miriam Dowda, good rim run. That's a tough catch. I love how into it this crowd still is.
Yeah.
Right, how loud they still are.
This will be a 12th year in a row that they lead the country in average attendance. The fans in Columbia. My first trip here, it was awesome being here for a few days.
It is. It's loud, everybody's involved. They love their Gamecocks.
Kennedy Smith swirled one out. And Tanaya Latson tracks it down with 4 minutes to go for South Carolina. Isla McDowell for Dowda. Tornabees, Dowda, got it in a foul again. Really cool for Miriam Dowda to have this moment after she has spent so much time this year on the scout team.
Yeah, and look at just the way she demanded the basketball. And the excitement, the high-low, the teamwork, and the crowd exploding for her. And you mentioned it, just how beloved she is by this team, by this program, and getting an opportunity now to step on the floor and to continue to make an impact.
Jazzy Davidson, the offensive rebound. Jones connects from 3. But Don Staley has said that compared to anyone on the roster, she'd probably hire Miriam Dowda faster than anyone for a job in the real world. They love what she brings to this team and how good a teammate she is.
But we want to put off the real world for as long as possible.
Yes, please. Still trying to do that over
That's
here.
Right. Every day we get to do that, right?
Sure do. So South Carolina will head to Sacramento. Remember that SEC championship game that Molly mentioned at the top of the game? That decided who got the 3rd 1 seed. So Texas won that game. And so Texas will get to be in Fort Worth. Not too far, of course, from Austin. And South Carolina's got to head to the Northwest in Sacramento. McDowell around the screen. And the rebound down to Rosha Tite. McDowell the intercept. And that's a foul called on Kennedy Smith. So Kennedy Smith fouls out with 2:49 to go. She's got a bright future as well next year. We're talking with Lindsey Gottlieb today about how the roster projects for next year. Of course, another high-powered recruit in Kennedy Smith. Once upon a time, 6th in the country. She'll be a junior next year, part of that group. By the way, 17 steals in this game for South Carolina. Just incredible defensively. Most they've ever had in an NCAA tournament game. Jones, deep three, got it. 2 in a row for London Jones. Got McKeer around and out. Jones the loose ball. Three in a row for London Jones, and she got 5 threes in total tonight.
Well, that's what she does, and she struggled in that first round matchup from the floor and struggled tonight up until late.
Bodies crashing on the rebounding action, and we get a foul with 1:53 to go. Third foul on Jones. So Isla McDowell goes to the free throw line. Boy, these have been 2 pretty dominant games for South Carolina overall. 16 seed Southern, now the 9 seed USC.
Well, look, they had a little bit of time to think about that loss in the SEC championship game, and like Dawn Staley said, get back to really working on some things that we need to work on. And you know, nobody wants to lose heading into the NCAA tournament, but sometimes that gives you the fire that you need. You know, sometimes you need a little dose of humility, right? And get back to not get back to the drawing board necessarily, but get back to taking care of some of the slippage. Understand the sense of urgency that you need. And they certainly look in these first 2 games like they're on a mission. I mean, you see the banners right there. It's not easy to win championships. There's a commitment every day to how you prepare to put yourself in a position to win.
And a moment of appreciation for Dawn Staley.
Yeah.
We talk about her so glowingly, but you can sometimes forget how remarkable a job it is. Before she arrived here, this program had been past the 2nd round of the tournament only 3 times. They've hit the century mark again. First time they've ever done it in NCAA tournament history, where twice they go 100 plus. Get a kick ball here with a $1:26 to go.
Well, I mean, Dawn Staley's put her mark on this program, taken it to another level and kept it there, looking for their 6th straight Final Four, 8th overall. SEC titles, SEC tournament titles, national championships. And I love that she coaches with that same competitive fire that she played with.
That's a foul called on South Carolina on an illegal screen. Yeah, this is all the dominance we're talking about with Dawn Staley and South Carolina. And by the way, life's pretty good for Dawn Staley. We saw her dog Champ here at shoot around today. Those 2 are living the dream.
Champ is definitely living the dream.
Just running around on the court here in Columbia. That was awesome. Iwuchukwu, the finish from Mendez. 45 seconds to go. A reminder, don't go anywhere. We will get you out west. UCLA, another 1 seed in action, part of 3 straight here over a 6-hour stretch to close out your Monday night. They square off in a 2nd round game against 8 seed Oklahoma State. Alicia Tornabis lost the handle, and it goes back to Southern Cal. So it'll be South Carolina and Oklahoma in Sacramento in the Sweet 16. A rematch from a late January game that Oklahoma won in overtime. Some heroics, like you said, from Aaliyah Chavez. And another trip to a Sweet 16 for South Carolina. The Gamecocks were great again, and they advance to the Sweet 16.
Just an outstanding effort these first two games. They've come in sharp. Dawn Staley has challenged them to